My child, I do not say those words as a greeting. I say them as a recognition. Stop and listen now, not because you have time, but because what I am speaking in this hour will not circle back. It will not wait for a more convenient moment. It will not pass through this hour twice. And before this message ends, you will understand exactly why you found it today, and not on any other day before this one, because you have felt it, have not you? That sense, growing stronger these last weeks, that something is turning, that you are standing at the edge of a season you cannot yet see the shape of, but can feel pressing toward you the way you feel a change in the weather before the sky ever darkens. You have not been able to name it. You have tried to explain it away as mood, as hope, as imagination, but it would not leave because it was never coming from your mind. It was coming from me. I have been drawing you toward this exact hour for longer than you realize, arranging the smallest details, so that on a night when your guard was finally low enough and your heart finally open enough, these words would find you. You did not stumble here. You were led here, out of everything that could have filled this moment of your life. This is what reached you, and that is not an accident. It is an appointment. I am moving in a way I have never moved before. Not in any generation that came before yours, not through any name written in the books you were taught to revere. And the reason, the single, specific, unrepeatable reason, is the exact configuration of your one life. The breath in your body right now, the longing that still has no name, the faithfulness you have been carrying in rooms where no one was watching, where no one was applauding, where no one even knew to look. I have been waiting for someone whose tenderness survived the waiting, because many did not make it through. My child, they waited, and they hardened. They waited, and they withdrew. They waited, and they decided that the waiting itself was the answer, that the silence meant rejection, that the absence meant they had been wrong about everything. You did not decide that. You bent, but you did not break. You questioned, and you kept going anyway. You cried quietly enough that the people sleeping in the next room never heard it, and still somehow you stayed open. That is not a small thing. That is the qualification. Not certainty, not a polished record, not a history without stains. The one who almost gave up last week is the very one I chose. If you have bent under the weight and still refuse to close your heart, type, I bent, but I did not break. Let me tell you what I saw in the waiting, because you thought no one was watching. And I want you to know that I never once looked away. I saw the nights you lay awake asking whether you had misunderstood your own life. I saw you hold your composure in front of people who needed you steady, while something inside you was quietly coming apart. I saw you keep showing up. To the work, to the prayers, to the small faithful things, long after the feeling of reward had gone, long after anyone would have blamed you for stopping. I saw you give when you had little left to give, forgive when bitterness would have been so much easier, and stay soft in a world that kept giving you reasons to harden. Most people, handed your exact circumstances, would have closed. They would have decided that tenderness was a liability and sealed it away to protect themselves. You did not, and that refusal to close, that stubborn, costly softness you kept alive through everything, is not weakness, and it is not naivety. It is the rarest thing there is, and it is the very thing that qualified you. I was never looking for the strongest. I was looking for the one whose heart survived, and yours did. There is a door in my hand that no key has ever fit, in any age until now. You are the key, and the impossible I am bringing is not coming to overwhelm you. It is arriving at exactly the right size, measured to your particular grain, cut to fit no other life, shaped for the specific angle of your specific footsteps. So stay here. The room around you is more sacred than it appears, because I have just walked into it before I open the next thing. I want to tell you something about how this message even reached you, because it matters. You did not pay anything to receive these words tonight. They came to you freely, and they came to you freely because someone who walked this path before you, someone this ministry once poured into on a night just like this one, chose to sow a seed so that the next weary soul would find a word waiting for them. You are that next soul tonight. Someone you will never meet already covered the cost of your seat in this room. So if the Lord ever leads you, in a season when you are able to become that for the one who comes after you, to sow a seed of any amount so that the next chosen one finds this waiting on the night they need it most. Know that heaven remembers every seed sown in love. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. But tonight, you owe nothing tonight. You simply receive. Now, what I am about to reveal is not motivation. It is not a strategy. It is not a set of better thoughts to carry back into the same life you had before. It is recognition, and it comes in 3 layers. I will give you a single word from an ancient tongue that will permanently reframe every year you have ever called a delay. I will show you 2 women from my own history whose stories were written quietly, specifically for the day you would be ready to find yourself inside them. And I will give you a practice, 7 words long and 21 days deep, that will mark the beginning of your next chapter in a way no announcement to anyone else could ever produce. None of it is small. None of it is rushed. So stay until the last breath of this message, because this hour does not give itself fully to the ones who leave before it is finished. What I am forming in you has already begun to make itself visible, in quiet patterns you have noticed but did not have language for. So you filed them under something ordinary and moved on. They are not ordinary. Listen as I name them. The first is the way feelings have been arriving in you without warning. You are in the middle of something plain, washing a dish, driving a familiar road, sitting somewhere, nothing important is happening, and a wave moves through you with no story attached. Sometimes a peace so sudden it almost startles you. Sometimes a grief with no visible source. Sometimes a certainty so strong you nearly speak it aloud before you stop yourself. That is not a disorder. That is not stress or exhaustion. That is your spirit surfacing what was buried under years of survival, so that it can finally be released. The second is the way the rooms you once sat in comfortably have become unbearable. Conversations that used to fill you now empty you within minutes. Places you used to belong to now feel like clothing that no longer fits your body. People you once shared a frequency with now sound like they are speaking a language you no longer quite speak. You have not become difficult, and you have not become ungrateful. You have simply outgrown the smallness of where you were standing, and your spirit registered the mismatch before your mind had words for it. You have been calling it restlessness. I have been calling it readiness. The third is a quiet, persistent pressure underneath everything you do. A thing you want to make, to write, to say, to build, to begin, that you cannot fully name yet. You only feel it pressing up from underneath, like something alive in the soil that has decided this is the season to break the surface. That pressure is not anxiety, and it is not ambition. It is the assignment, knocking on the door from the inside, asking you to acknowledge that it is there. If you can feel that what you are sensing is real, and that it is me forming you, type, "What I am sensing is real, and it is you forming me." The fourth pattern is that you have been knowing things before they happen. A name rises in your mind for no reason, and within hours that person reaches out. You walk into a room and feel what is wrong before a single word is spoken. You sense a decision is being made about your life, and days later the confirmation arrives exactly as you sensed it. That is not coincidence piling up past the point of comfort. That is a gift you quieted in yourself when you were young, because the place you were in had nowhere safe to hold it, and now it is waking back up, because the season you are entering requires it fully online. And the fifth is the convergence of timing, the right person appearing in the exact week you needed them. The door opening in the precise hour you finally stopped trying to force it. The provision arriving the same day the need made itself known. You are not imagining this. The architecture beneath your life is shifting, and I am letting the seams show on purpose, so you can finally see what has been built while you are only trying to get through the day. I know how easily a word like this can slip away by tomorrow, buried under everything that will demand your attention. So if this is landing in a place beneath explanation, do not let this be the last time my voice finds you here. Subscribe and turn on the reminder, not for the sake of a number, but because the next message is already being prepared for those who walk this path, and I do not want you to miss it when it comes. Now hear the first of the 3 truths, and let it undo something. What you have been calling delay I have been calling exactness. Hear that again, and take it seriously. What you have been calling delay, I have been calling exactness. The years you thought were wasted were not wasted. They were calibration. The doors that closed were not punishment. They were redirection of a kind so precise that no human strategy, however clever, could have produced it. The relationships that did not last were not failures for you to carry shame about. They were the wrong shape for what you are about to carry, and any one of them kept too long would have made this exact hour impossible. Go back, honestly, and look again at the things you have grieved as losses. The opportunity that fell through at the last possible moment, the one you were so sure was meant for you. Look at where that road would have led, and you will begin to see that I was not withholding good from you. I was steering you around a harm you could not see from where you stood. The person who walked away, the one whose leaving felt like a wound that would never close, was clearing the exact space that the right connection now needs to enter. The season that stalled when everything you touched seemed frozen and every effort seemed to sink into sand was not me forgetting you. It was me holding the timeline steady, refusing to let your future arrive 1 hour before you were ready to hold it. You have spent years apologizing to yourself for delays that were actually protection, mourning detours that were actually direction. Nothing in your path has been random. I have been writing straight lines with what looked to you like crooked strokes. And one day, and that day is near, you will see the whole picture and understand that not a single step was wasted. Long ago there was a woman named Hannah, and her only wound was the silence of her own body. She wept in my house so deeply that the priest watching her assumed she was drunk. She had no child, no inheritance to offer the world, no answer to the question every woman around her had already been given. And what she did not know through all those years of weeping was that the child she would one day carry was not merely a child. He was a prophet whose voice would redirect the course of an entire nation at a turning point in history. In time, the Lord remembered Hannah, and she conceived and bore a son, and she said, I asked the Lord for him. That is from 1 Samuel, chapter 1. The waiting was never denial. The waiting was the time required to preserve her tenderness at exactly the right intensity, so that what she finally carried could be carried without bitterness, ever corroding it. You are her, my child, not in metaphor. In structure, if you had received what you asked for 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you would have received it as the version of yourself who could not yet hold it without dropping it, without misusing it, without losing it to a self that had not yet been formed by what the waiting formed. The version of you that exists right now, the one that has been bent and not broken, questioned and not silenced, postponed and not abandoned, is the only version capable of carrying what is about to arrive. Slowness was never your enemy. Slowness was the apprenticeship. If you can receive that your delay was never a waste type, my delay was never waste. It was exactness. Let me speak to you plainly for a moment, as the ministry that carries these messages to you. As a ministry, we are believing God to help us raise the remaining $5,000 needed to continue sharing messages of hope, prayer, and encouragement with people all around the world. If the Lord places it on your heart to sow a seed of any amount, we would be deeply grateful. Every gift, no matter the size, helps us keep this mission alive and helps the next searching soul find a word like this one on the night they need it most. You will find the link in the description and on your screen. Thank you for standing with this work. And now, chosen one, back to the voice of heaven, because the second truth is deeper than the first. Most who teach in my name will never name this correctly, so hear it directly from me. What I am working into you in this season is not an improvement of who you used to be. Nearly every message you have heard has told you that I am refining you, polishing you, producing a better, healed, upgraded version of the self you already were. And you have tried to live inside that framework, measuring your progress by how much better you were getting, wondering how much longer the refining must go before you are finally ready. Hear this from me clearly. I am not polishing. I am not editing. I am not producing a second version of who you already were. I am doing something your language barely has words to hold, but an older tongue does. In the prophet Isaiah, I spoke to a people who had become convinced their best season was permanently behind them. I said, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? That is Isaiah chapter 43, verse 19. But the word your language translates as new has been worn smooth by overuse. In your tongue, new means newer than what came before. Fresh out of the box. The latest model of a thing that already existed. The word I spoke was Chadish, and Chadish does not mean newer than before. Chadash means never previously existing. It means a thing fresh from the origin itself. A thing with no precedent, because the precedent could not have produced it. It is the word for what arrives when no existing category in the known world can contain it. So hear what that does to my sentence. I am not offering you an upgraded version of what you had. I am telling you that what I am doing right now has never been done in any age. It is not improved. It is unprecedented. It is Chadash. And what I am forming in you is Chadash. Let that word do its work in you, because it changes everything about how you measure yourself. If what I am doing is only an upgrade, then it makes sense to compare it to what came before, to hold it against other people's lives, to judge your progress by how much better you are than you used to be. But you cannot measure Chadash against the past, because Chadash has no precedent in the past to measure against. This is why comparison has felt so wrong in your spirit lately. Why looking at other people's timelines has left you more confused instead of more clear. You have been trying to locate your life on a map that was never drawn for it. Stop. There is no one ahead of you on this exact road, because this exact road did not exist until I began building it through you. You are not behind. You cannot be behind on a path that has no one in front of you. You are not late. You are first. And the loneliness you have sometimes felt, the sense that no one quite understands what you are walking through, was never proof that something was wrong with you. It was the natural solitude of the one who goes first. Pioneers do not have company on the way out. They have it on the way back, once the trail is made. So release yourself from the ruler you have been beating yourself with. What I am doing in you has no comparison, and a thing with no comparison cannot be behind, cannot be too late, and cannot fail to be exactly what only it could be. The people who only know you through the lens of your history will not recognize it at first. The people who only know you through the lens of your history will not recognize it at first. They will look at you and see the person they have always known. They will need time. Give them time. What is being released through you has no template, and yours is the first life it is being released through. If you believe that, type, what God is doing in me has never existed before. And this is why you must not measure what I am doing by whether the people around you can see it yet. They knew you before this. They formed their picture of you years ago, and the mind clings to the picture it already has. So when you begin to change, when the new thing starts to move in you, do not be discouraged if the people closest to you are the last to recognize it. They are not blind, and they are not against you. They are simply looking at the old photograph while I am developing a new one. Some of them will need to see the fruit before they believe the root. Give them that time, and do not shrink yourself back down to the size of their old image of you just to keep them comfortable. The moment you make yourself small again to fit their expectation, you delay the very thing I am birthing. You do not owe anyone the familiar version of you. You owe me your yes. And when the unprecedented finally becomes visible, the ones who could not see it at first will stand in quiet awe of what I did, and they will know it could not have come from you alone. It came through you because you agreed to be the first. And long after Hannah, in another small town no one was watching, I sent an angel to the door of a young woman named Mary. He told her she would carry something that had never been carried before, not by any woman in any generation since the world began. And notice what actually qualified her. Not her education, not her standing, not even her certainty about how it would happen. The angel never asked whether she felt ready. The qualification was a single sentence she finally spoke. She said, "Let it be unto me according to your word." That is Luke, chapter 1, verse 38. That is the qualification, not capability, consent. What I am forming in you does not require you to figure out how it will happen. It does not require a 5-year plan, or a complete understanding of the mechanism, or a feeling of readiness you have not yet reached. It requires the agreement of your one life to be the place where Chadish arrives. Hear how much weight that lifts off of you. You have been waiting to feel ready, and readiness was never the requirement. You have been waiting to understand how, and understanding was never the requirement. You have been waiting until your life looked worthy enough, healed enough, put together enough, and none of that was ever the requirement either. Mary did not have a plan. She did not have a guarantee. She was young, unproven, and by every earthly measure the least likely candidate for the most unprecedented assignment in history. What she had was a yes. She simply agreed to let her life become the place where I would do what I had never done. That is all I am asking of you. Not that you become impressive first. Not that you resolve every question first. Not that you arrive at a confidence you have never felt. Only that you stop disqualifying yourself and give me your agreement. Because I do not need a flawless vessel. I need a willing one. The whole weight of how it happens is mine to carry. The only thing that has ever been yours to give is your yes. So stop waiting to feel ready and start being willing. Willingness is the only door I have ever needed, and it is a door only you can open from the inside with a single honest word. If your heart is ready to give that agreement, type, "Let it be unto me according to your word." Now the third truth. And when it lands, every assumption you have ever made about why this configuration, why this exact season, will not survive contact with it. You have been asking the wrong question for a very long time. The question has been, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why does my path look so completely different from everyone around me? Why has the timeline of my life refused to follow the shape of any timeline I was ever promised? Why me was never the right question. The right question is why now, and the answer to why now recontextualizes everything that came before it. But something has almost stopped this recognition from reaching you, and it is not a force outside of you. It is not an enemy, and it is not your circumstances. It is quieter than any of those, and it has been with you since you were small enough to still believe whatever you were told about yourself. It is the belief that you are not the kind of person this happens to. Beneath all the spiritual language you have learned, beneath the affirmations and the books and the messages, there has been a voice quietly editing every truth as it arrives, whispering, yes, this is real, but probably not for me, probably for someone better. Someone with a cleaner past, someone whose life looks more like the kind of life a person deserves this for. That voice has been with you so long it stopped sounding like an intruder. It started sounding like realism, like humility, like being sensible and not getting carried away. Hear me. It is not realism, and it is not humility. It is the last barrier between you and the recognition of who you actually are. So let me tear it down. You are allowed to be the one I chose. You are allowed to receive what your bloodline could not yet see. You are allowed to outgrow the small frame your past placed around your name. You are allowed to carry something no one in your family, no one in your circle, no one in your entire history has ever carried before. You are allowed to be unprecedented without offering anyone an explanation or an apology for it. Why now is not because you finally became worthy. The framework of worthiness was always the wrong framework. My kingdom does not run on worthiness. It runs on configuration. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. That is Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. And all the days ordained for you were written in my book before one of them came to be, as it says in Psalm 139, verse 16. Your days were written. Your shape was chosen. Why now is because the configuration of your specific life has finally come into alignment. The wilderness preserved your tenderness. The silence trained your discernment. The waiting forged your exactness. And it was not only the large things that shaped you, it was every detail, and I chose every one. The particular place you were born, and the particular way it failed you, which taught you to look for a home that could not be taken. The specific words spoken over you as a child, even the wounding ones which carved in you a compassion for the overlooked that comfort never could have carved. The exact losses you were asked to carry, and the way you carried them without letting them turn you bitter. The conversations you endured, the doors that shut, the quiet decisions you made when no one was watching to applaud them, all of it has been assembling, detail upon detail, into a shape that has never existed in any other person before you, and will never exist in any person after you. No one else has your exact combination of scars and gifts, of tenderness and endurance, of history and hunger. And that is not an accident of circumstance. It is a design. I did not use someone else's life to make you, because I was not making someone else. I was making the one vessel shaped precisely for what I am about to pour. Your bloodline carried in its bones the prayers of people who never lived to see them answered, but prayed them anyway, into the air, into the silence, into the future, into you. If you can finally receive it, type, I am allowed to be the one he chose. And when that old barrier voice returns, and it will try to return because a belief that lived in you that long does not surrender the first time it is exposed, I want you to know how to answer it. It will come dressed as humility, whispering that you are getting carried away, that you should not think so highly of yourself, that people like you do not get chosen for things like this. Do not argue with it, and do not agree with it. Simply remember where it came from. That voice was installed in you by a season you did not choose, by words spoken over you before you were old enough to refuse them, by a world that measures worth with a ruler I never handed it. It is not your discernment. It is your wound talking, and your wound does not get the final say over your destiny. I do. So every time it whispers that this is not for you, answer it with the truth I am giving you tonight. It is not arrogance to receive what I have assigned to you. It is obedience. The false humility that refuses your calling is not holiness. It is just fear wearing a religious coat. Take it off. You were never meant to spend your one life apologizing for the size of what I placed inside you. So hear the thing your whole life has been circling. You are not chosen for the impossible. You are the reason the impossible can finally happen. Hannah was the first to carry a prophet who would change a nation. Mary was the first to carry an unprecedented birth. In a town no one was watching. The pattern across all my history is consistent. The unprecedented thing always required one specific life with the exact configuration capable of holding it. Not the most powerful, not the most prominent, not the most qualified by any standard the world would use. The one whose particular shape matched the particular assignment. You are the next carrier in that lineage. I am doing what I have never done before because there has never been you before. Not in any generation, not in any age or era of time. You are the pioneer, the one who goes first into territory no one before you has crossed, so that those who come after you have a path to follow that did not exist until your footsteps made it. If you receive that, say it with your own hands, type, I am the reason the impossible can finally happen, and understand what that makes you to the ones who come after you. A pioneer does not only cross into new territory, a pioneer leaves a path. Every place you break through, every lie you refuse to carry, every ceiling you rise past, becomes a road that did not exist until your feet made it, and someone behind you will walk it more easily because you went first. This is why the resistance against your life has been so specific and so heavy. It was never only about stopping you. It was about stopping everyone who would have followed the trail you were meant to blaze. But hear this, what is being formed in you also reaches backward, not only forward. Somewhere in your bloodline there were people who prayed prayers they never saw answered. They asked me for things they did not live long enough to receive. They wept over situations that did not change in their lifetime, and they died still believing, still hoping, still trusting that someday, somehow, I would move. Those prayers did not die with them. They rose like incense, and they have been waiting, stored in my presence, for the one configuration in the family line capable of carrying the answer. You are that one. The breakthrough coming to you is not only your breakthrough, it is the answered prayer of people whose faces you may never have seen. The harvest of seeds planted generations before you were born, and when it breaks open in you, it will not stop with you. It will flow forward to the ones who come after, so that your children and the children you may never meet inherit a freedom that took generations of unanswered prayer to purchase. You are the turning point. The chain that bound your family for generations ends the moment you say yes. You are the answer your bloodline has been waiting for, the one in whom the unanswered prayers of 100 years finally find their yes. Now let me give you the practice, because recognition must become rhythm or it fades. It is small and it is exact, and it will do more than any grand announcement ever could. Each morning, before the noise of the day reaches you, before the phone, before the messages, before the world tells you who to be, I want you to write one sentence, exactly 7 words long, naming what I am forming in you right now, not what you wish were true, what you sense I am doing, 7 words, no more. And then, this is important, do not show it to anyone. Do not seek confirmation from another person. Because external validation dilutes what is still forming in secret, speak it only into the silence. In my presence, where true ownership is born, do this for 21 days. Some mornings you will write a new sentence. Some mornings you will repeat the one from the day before. It does not matter. At the end of the 21 days, read them all together and watch for the pattern that rises out of them. Because that pattern is the shape of your assignment, and it will speak with a clarity that will surprise you. You may wonder why 7 words and why 21 days. So let me tell you. 7 words, because a single word is too small to hold a truth, and a paragraph is large enough to hide behind. 7 words force you to be honest and exact, to say the real thing without decoration and without escape. And 21 days, because that is long enough for the noise of your own doubt to quiet and the true voice underneath to become clear. In the first days, you will write what you think you should write. By the middle days, the performance will fall away, and you will begin writing what is actually true. And by the final days, you will not be composing sentences anymore. You will be receiving them, catching what I am already saying over your life and simply writing it down. That is the whole point. This practice is not you convincing yourself of something. It is you getting quiet enough, consistently enough, to finally hear what I have been speaking all along. And the reason I ask you to keep it private is that a seed announced too early is a seed dug up to be admired instead of left in the ground to grow. What forms in secret with me becomes unshakable. What you rush to show others becomes dependent on their reaction. So guard it. Keep it between us until it is rooted. If you commit to this with me, type, I say yes to what you are forming in me. Before I seal this hour over you, let me speak once more as the ministry that brings you these words. This message reached you tonight because someone before you gave so that it could. That is how it has always worked here. One weary soul is met, and out of gratitude they sow, and their seed carries the message to the next weary soul, who is met and sows, and on it goes, a chain of grace stretching farther than any one voice could ever reach. If the Lord leads you, become a link in that chain tonight. Sow a seed of any amount toward this mission. Not because you owe it, but because somewhere out there is a chosen one who will find these words on the hardest night of their life, and your seed will be the reason it was waiting for them. The link is in the description and pinned for you in the comments. Thank you for helping Heaven's word travel farther than one voice ever could. Now receive this sealing, and say it with me, out loud if you can, because your own voice claims what your spirit has already recognized. Father, the God who does what has never been done, I set down the frame my past placed around my name. It does not belong to me. I receive the exact configuration of my one life. The wilderness that preserved my tenderness, the silence that trained my discernment, the waiting that forged my exactness. I agree to be the place where the unprecedented arrives. I stop asking why me and I trust the answer to why now. I am not chosen for the impossible. I am the reason the impossible can finally happen. Let it be unto me according to your word. In Jesus' name, amen. And do not let this be the last time my voice reaches you. What I am doing in you will unfold over many messages, not one, and the next word I release is already being prepared for the ones who walk this path. So subscribe, and turn on the reminder, not for a number, but so that when the next piece of your recognition is ready, it finds you in the exact season you need it. You were led here tonight. Let yourself be led here again. You have stayed to the last breath of this hour, and that alone sets you apart, because most leave before anything this real has the chance to land. So go now, and go recognized. And let me show you before you leave what your next season begins to look like. You will notice the restlessness change its character from an ache into a direction, because now you will know what it was pointing you toward all along. You will find yourself making the small, brave choices you used to postpone, saying the true thing, beginning the delayed thing, releasing the relationships and rooms you had already outgrown, and each choice will feel less like effort and more like coming home to yourself. You will watch the convergences increase, the right people and the right doors and the right provision arriving with a timing so precise it will make you catch your breath. And slowly, you will stop bracing for disappointment and start expecting the unprecedented, because you will finally believe that the God who does what has never been done is doing it through you. I bless your mornings, that the 7 words would come. I bless your eyes to see the patterns instead of dismissing them. I bless your spirit to trust the tenderness that survived, the knowing that woke back up, the pressure that is your assignment rising. And I bless you to walk into the unprecedented without apology, without waiting for anyone's permission, without shrinking to fit a frame you have already outgrown. The door in my hand is opening, and you are the key, so carry this with you when you leave, and return to it on the days the old frame tries to fit itself back around your name. When the doubt whispers that you imagined all of this, remember the word Chadash. And remember that I do not waste an hour like this one on a life I am not about to move. When comparison tries to convince you that you are behind, remember that you are first, and the first is never late. When the people around you cannot yet see it, remember that the seed grows underground long before it breaks the surface, and give them time while you keep your yes. And when the tiredness returns, as it will, remember that the waiting is finished and the exactness has arrived. And what took all these years to prepare is not going to be undone by a single hard afternoon. You have already done the hardest part. You survived the forming, now comes the arriving. This is not the end of something, it is a threshold, and I go before you across it. Share this with the one chosen one who has been believing they were too ordinary to be chosen, because your obedience in sending it may be the very thing that reaches them on the night they needed to hear it. And if your whole heart is ready to walk into the Chadash I am doing through you, type, I am ready to become who I have never been. Walk gently, chosen one. There has never been you before, and that is exactly why now,